This is June 26th, 2024, and it is our quarterly Brain Trust meeting. This one is a wish list meeting. So I've just encouraged everybody to come on and talk a little bit about what their wish lists were. Also, I want to go ahead and show you a couple of ways that we can look at this. One second. So I want to show you a few of the projects that people have already shared with us, and then I'll share with you some of my own. So the first thing, just as a kind of a prompt of what you could think about, how you might want to share what it is that you're thinking of and the steps that you're taking to realize it. So the first one was, we saw this was Terry Quinzer. Obviously that's me, but this was her feature, and she was telling us about her vegan community that she is envisioning, and all the steps that she's taken so far to do profit and losses, to start attracting partners, even though this is more of a 10-year plan. Then we have Alvin, who was talking to us about off-grid living. He has already built his off-grid solar house. And so now, he's now having to look, okay, what happens 5 years from now? What happens 10 years from now? And hopefully he'll share that with us if he's on the call today as well. Then we also wanted to feature a partnership that has created over $1 billion in projects, and that was the Synergy Ranch people. So you got to meet the people that built the biosphere. It was Mark Nelson, and also Deborah Snyder was on the call as well. So there's a lot of great information about how they, over the course of half a century, first bought a ranch, then built their own geodesic dome, then built their own ship and sailed it around the world, then started hosting scientific conferences, then got a backer with Ed Bass, and then developed the plan and built Biosphere 2 in Oracle, Arizona, which is the inspiration for the Eden Project, which is located right next to Restore Mall Royal Manor House that a lot of people in 2023 visited, and probably people in 2025 will visit as well. So again, it was just to let them, in their own words, tell you about some of the strategies they use to have a small group of people leverage. They were surprised when I told them that, there had been a recent kind of a P&L analysis that if Biosphere 2 were to be built today, it would cost over $1 billion. Back in the day, it cost in the hundreds of millions. It was it was an expensive venture, but even today it's even more so. So they're even kind of astonished at the breadth and depth of what value that they have created. Of course, also, the same collective, they own the October Gallery, which is where a lot of us stay in London before we head to the Restore Mall Royal Manor House. So again, the Restore Mall retreat is intended to be kind of a living example of a lot of these things now we're trying to do to tell you more about how to build community, about how to think 5-10 years in advance, how to start attracting partners, how to take the steps to realize your dreams. Now, also, the most recent thing that happened was we have a lot of people that have been expressing interest in maybe having an Airbnb, right? So we asked an Airbnb, a bed and breakfast owner who's now considers herself to be an innkeeper, to actually do a guest blog. She is the owner of the Simpson Hotel, and that's this hotel here. If you ever want to do an Old West kind of adventure, this is probably a good opportunity for you. It's a beautiful oasis in a very small town in rural southeastern Arizona, very close to New Mexico. And this is her guest blog. So again, all of these resources are already available. We just started doing these brain trusts this year. Now, when everybody gets on, then I'll go ahead and share my 10-year goals. and also the steps I'm taking to get there, just to, again, as a model for how this meeting might run. And we'll also be featuring other people that might be on. Okay, we'll pause it here for now. Okay, so I already did an introduction to this meeting, and it talked a little bit about the brain trust meetings that we've already had and what they were intended to do, why we're doing them, the ones that we're going to be having. The next one will probably be October 23rd. If you have a good idea for that, feel free to let us know. So for this meeting, we're calling it the wish list meeting. And basically what we're trying to do with the meetings are starting to create community. Some people have wisdom to share. Obviously today it's more of just letting people know what our projects are, so that when other people, it resonates with them, maybe they're going to reach out to us and they're going to help us with it. So I want to just model what my projects are, and then you guys can do the same, okay? So my 5-year goal is to continue doing what I'm doing, which is adding a splash of green to Wall Street and transforming lives on Main Street. So as you know, I do nataliepace.com and I do the Earth Gratitude Project. Let me just show you those real quickly. Obviously, Earth Gratitude is earthgratitude.org. So there's Natalie Pace. Power of 8 billion. I'm going to be also in the 5-year plan, actually in the few months plan, updating the 6th edition of the ABCs of Money. But one of the reasons why I have been doing these brain trust meetings, as well as private coaching and all of the retreats and all of that, is that I want to start creating or being able to do my retreats. Like the Restormal retreat has a lot of things that I want you guys to experience that few people in America, Canada, and Australia experience, like the Europeans do. So Europeans have a CO2 footprint that's 1/3 of Americans, Canadians, and Australians. So if I take you to Restormal and you're riding the train or you're walking to the local cafe and you are basically not renting a car for the week and experiencing life like that, hopefully that will translate into a different way of living going forward as well. But what I'm really hoping to do is that we can have a retreat center in Lumbee, where Alvin is doing his off-grid solar, and that we can start doing retreats there. And Terry will build her vegan community, and we can do a retreat there. So that's my vision for the community here. And then another 1 to 2 year goals are that we're going to have an extraordinary 2025 Restormal retreat with the perfect people in that beautiful manor house. That also, right after the retreat, I want to take a small film crew, hopefully Alvin and Brianna, and go to Paris, Amsterdam, and Poundbury and film another docu-series, episodes of our Earth Gratitude docu-series about how these cities transform from car culture to bike and pedestrian culture and shared roads. So that's the goal for that. And then obviously update the ABCs. So what I'm trying to do is continue what I'm doing, reach a bigger audience, empower the community more so that we can all come together more. All right, so that's my story. And if any of you know or are involved at all in, film or television, and you might be interested in helping us to produce that episode of the Earth Gratitude docu-series, reach out to me directly. The best way is always going to be info@nataliepace.com. All right, so that's the main focus, is that. And of course, if you want to join us for Restormal, the reason that we have to have you register by August 15th to guarantee your room is that is my deadline. So if we have the entire manor house full, we'll have all 3 wings. If we don't, then we may have to give up a wing. And that means that if you think, oh, I can wait until October or November to decide, well, we just had to give up your wing in August because that's when we have to commit to them. So I'm going to stop my portion there. If any of this resonates with you, attending Restormal, helping us with the Earth Gratitude docuseries on Paris, Amsterdam, Poundbury, I can handle my 6th edition of the ABCs of Money, but that's the near term goals to support the 5 and 10-year vision. Sorry about that. I have to unmute it. This is Susie Schride. There, now you should be able to unmute yourself.
All right. Thanks, Natalie. And thank you for the chance to share with the group. I had actually created a small PowerPoint, but I don't have to show that. My short-term vision is to get a job of some sort or create a new career, because I have been gainfully unemployed since March 1st and looking for jobs. And it is a brand new adventure that I haven't experienced very often in my life, because I've been self-employed a couple of times and taught as a teacher for a while. But I've had a longer vision that is coming into play, and it started percolating more at the Restormal retreat last year when we played the billionaire game as a group. And not very many of you have heard my story, but I didn't start studying with Natalie till 5 years ago. And when I started with nothing, because basically I had to declare bankruptcy in 2011, and I knew nothing about finances and stuff. And she has taken me through her teachings and coaching to a point where, I can be reasonably comfortable at 4 months of being unemployed and still have my safe side and all of that happening very comfortably. And so I was able to go to Restormal last year. In the past, I have never been able to complete the billionaire game. I could get the first row, the first column, I could get the second column, but as we got into bigger amounts of funding, I couldn't do it. And I just couldn't do it. Last year at Restormal, I was able to do it. And I shared with the group a dream that had been in the back of my mind since I was young, and it had percolated up there. And that was to buy and operate a bed and breakfast or an inn. And so I shared that, and we all got excited about it. But Natalie kept encouraging me to go deeper. And through some coaching sessions and looking at finances, it just didn't really make sense at the point. And going deeper, I realized part of what I was looking for out of that bed and breakfast was community. And I had been on the side investigating co-housing communities since 2016, 2017. And that is a model of housing land ownership that's shared. You have private houses or condos or duplexes or apartments, depending on how the project is set up. You can have private, any of those and a variation together, plus you have shared common facilities. And it's kind of like a hybrid between what people have talked about in this group with tiny houses and what Natalie showed us at Restormal, where you have a big manor house with common areas. And in co-housing, that's a lot of the focus, is you have big common houses where you have a giant kitchen and a dining room that can accommodate the community. And depending on how the community is set up, you have certain number of common meals a week if you want to participate. And none of it is obligatory. At least in my community, it wouldn't be. Some communities I've explored have a lot of rules, and that was one of the things that turned me off against them. But so my vision is to create in 5 years, 5 to 10 years, a co-housing community that is focused around sustainability. I loved Alvin's presentation and his learning, and I want to learn from him. And I would love to see, the houses designed around being Passive House certified. And there's several in my resources slide, which I may copy and put in the chat. There's several communities here in Colorado that follow some of those principles that I really like. And I've taken what I like from the various communities I've visited and the ones I've researched to kind of pick and choose what I want the best of those. And so it's focused on wellness, it's focused on sustainability, focused on people living there if they want, being able to create and have their business life, for me, life and work shouldn't be separate. To me, it just should be the same with appropriate boundaries. But the whole idea of going off to a job and then having to escape on vacation has always been antithetical to me. I just don't agree with that. I think our life needs to be something that sustains us and supports our community and doesn't make us want to escape it. Natalie has a life like that. So, I want to model my life after Natalie. And so that's the vision. Maybe sometime in the future I can share my little PowerPoint, but I know we have a short time, so I think that's it. I'll copy the resources in the chat, and I don't know if we get Q&A or what, but
I
that's it.
would ask a question. What is it that you're doing in the near term? And I know obviously the biggest thing you're doing is looking for the perfect job, but what else are you doing to seed the ground? Like a friend of mine always said, there's the 9 to 5, which is what you do to survive, and there's the 5 to 9, which is your passion project. So even if you're looking for a job, you could still start seeding the way of this co-housing. So are you visiting other ones? Like, what's your big thing this year that you're doing to help keep moving in that direction?
Absolutely. I've been visiting and talking to the ones here in the Front Range of Colorado that I admire and that I like, and there's one being built in Fort Collins that I really, really like. The only thing I don't like about it is the density. I would like my community to be a little bit less dense. There is the cohousing.org organization that I would like to join and belong to, and they actually have a convention here in Denver in early August that I would like to attend. I haven't decided whether I'll spend that money this year or wait until next year, depending on my finances. But that's what I've been doing, and I've been putting it out there to people that might be interested, people that I think are like-minded, who might have an interest in participating or investing. Because the community in Fort Collins has done a really good job of getting investors that aren't necessarily going to live there. They have a rate of return for people that want to invest in the property and own some of the common property, but not necessarily live there.
Very interesting. But the power of even having 4 or 5 people, just so you guys, and we will transition over to Sierra in just a moment, but I wanted to I'm adding my pin so you can see me. There were a group of 4, women. I think they were all Chinese. So they had, like maybe a common language, and they bought a house together, like just anything like that. Again, when I teamed up with another single mom, I got a bigger place in a much better neighborhood for, like 40 or 50% of the cost. So a lot of times it's interesting because we are so ingrained in the United States, not necessarily in other nations, that every single member of our immediate family has to live in their own exact pod. You know what I mean? And again, this is really a model that makes other people rich at our own expense. So good on you, and more power to you, Susie. I can't wait to see you continue to shine. Like I always tell everybody, I hope that you become my best testimonial, but as you can see, Susie is definitely on track to do that. Okay, Sierra, hang on and I'll get you up and we'll unmute you. I'm going to unmute you first. And now I'm going to pin you. And if you want to go next, please just let me know in the chat. Okay. It's all you.
Hey, so the things that have come up for me in the gratitude game time after time, because the dream keeps on changing and it just keeps switching back and forth, and I haven't really been able to pinpoint a specific thing, but certain themes keep happening, and it's I'm really called to be a healer, and I've been doing massage for 24 years. I would love to in probably more like 10-year goal, have a practice doing talking modalities instead of physical modalities, as well as physical modalities. 5-year goal, so the themes that are coming up, I'll just finish that thought. So having a healing practice, art, being able to finish my art pieces and actually sell them and have galleries, openings or whatever. Community building has always been a piece. Spirituality has always been a piece, and fun, like serious, like fun, like maybe festivals or conferences or things like that has been a piece. And I'm dealing with a little shame around this because I've actually been bankrolled by my boyfriend for the last 2 years, and if you really want to be honest about it, it's been longer than that with another boyfriend. And it wasn't like using each other. There's love there, for which I'm very grateful, but it's getting to that point where I'm just like, I don't like how it feels to not have the kind of income it takes to just pay my own bills and pay my own way. And so, like, in 5 years, I want to be fully paying for myself. And if I'm still living with my current boyfriend, that'll be awesome. And, we have a greater income household wise. And another 5-year goal is I would like to at least triple, maybe even have my nest egg be 6 times what it is right now. And in 10 years, I'd like to make it 20 times what it is right now. I I think in 10 years I'd really like to live in my own place, and seriously be in a financial place to actually be able to buy my own home, either in Seattle or a place that I love. If it's just not feasible and Seattle becomes like ridiculously expensive and never goes down again, I mean, I'm just gonna have to pivot. I don't know what's gonna happen there, but I would like to be at least in a place where, oh my God, this is actually maybe achievable in about 10 years. By 10 years, I'd also like to be selling my art and having that just be kind of a part of my life that's working instead of stuck. And I would love to be hosting events of all sorts, creating community, and being much more crystal clear about what my intention there is, and what kind of situation I want to create for that community. So a lot of things are kind of nebulous. One thing I do know is I don't want a sugar daddy anymore. I want to be my own sugar mama to myself. That's just the real right there. And that's me.
So I'm just going to ask you, like, what steps? It's hard. I'm just going to acknowledge it, right? It's hard to be a healer or an artist because these are two professions in our world that tend to be underpaid. Do you know what teachers as well, right? So in a certain way, another statistic I'm just going to throw out there for guys, for all of us. If we put 10% of our income into tax protected retirement accounts and it makes a 10% gain, we'll have as much money as we currently earn in the retirement account within 7.5 years. So it doesn't take 10 years to get to that, right? And then within 25 years, our money should make more than we do. So, we can have that fixed income. So, just these things are achievable. That's an achievable goal. It might be slightly less right now because people aren't expecting a 10% annualized return in a slower growth environment. But I would just say, what steps are you going to take to try to do this? Like, I'll give you couple of extreme examples. One is T.S. Eliot is a very famous poet, and guess what he had to do by day? He was a banker. Right? So it's sad, but it's true. So I would just say that if you know that you're in a profession that is lower pay, you have to find creative ways of having lower expenses in order for you to thrive. We always talk about the Thrive budget, right? So, I mean, and people do that, even when I'm encouraging people that are going off to college, the loan counselor will try to figure out how, you can get a loan for everything, right? And then you come out and you're just like you're drowning in debt. And, a lot of parents will say, well, is it possible that your kid can live with a family member there? Or is it possible that they can try to au pair? Or is it like if you can reduce the housing costs, then, you're going to save yourself 20,000 a year in student loan debt, So that's what I would say is that it's not always earning more and earning more gains, although that can be certainly a piece of it. It also is, okay, this is what the Thrive budget can be helpful. And it was funny because I had somebody else that was coaching and they were like, well, I can't live on the Thrive budget, because her income was less than what she was accustomed to the year before. And I said, right. So what that means is if you don't want to live on that, you could pretend that it doesn't exist the way it exists right now, or you can fix it, right? Because if your budget is out of whack, then you're going to end up putting incidentals, maybe even food on credit cards. That's not sustainable. So addressing what is, and then saying, okay, I'm either going to increase income. Fixing budget issues is easy. Increase income, decrease expenses. The devil, of course, is in the details, right? How are you going to do it? So I would say you can do it. You just have to be real and realistic with yourself and not shame yourself for making creative choices about housing, because that's actually a smart move. And I'm not saying smart to have a sugar daddy. I mean, hopefully this is someone that you care about. You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay, good. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it here for a second. I'll open it up for everybody. All right. Just a little bit more about the Puerto Vallarta casita that you have for sale.
I have put my gorgeous Puerto Vallarta cliffside home of almost 5,000 square feet up for sale for $1.7 million. Anywhere else in the world, this would be an $8 million property. It's in a private gated cul-de-sac with the most stunning views of the Pacific, including jungles, birds. It's absolute paradise. The rooms are huge. The ceilings are cavernous. It's got a private pool, saltwater pool, beautiful lush gardens that I've cultivated over the years. It just is the most gorgeous and peaceful place that you could find. Everyone that walks in says this is their idea of paradise. And I put it up for sale for various reasons, but I hope to put the proceeds to good use in furthering democracy. So can I tell them how to get in touch with me?
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. How do you want people to get in touch with you?
You can text me or call me at 310-902-2251. And my email is GGORDONLAW, that's G Gordon Law at AOL.com. And I have 40 photos I can send you and a few videos to show you how gorgeous the space is. If you've ever wanted to have a little paradise of your own and get it at a discount off the rest of the world in a beautiful, fun town, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, on top of a mountain overlooking the whole bay, this is your chance.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And this is Dan Altman.
Okay, hi. Yeah, I have, this is just spontaneous. I didn't really have this all planned, but I've studied with a teacher named Sydney Banks. He actually died in 2009, but he was actually a Scottish welder who had this mystical experience and totally transformed his life. And he became a worldwide teacher, and he taught this, I guess it's a spiritual teaching called the Three Principles. And he wrote a number of books, and there are literally thousands of people who are involved in this teaching. And it's really big in Europe and really popular in the therapeutic and psychological and those communities. And I have trained, I trained with a teacher named Michael Neal, who wrote a wonderful book, actually. I recommend this book. Let me just put that here. It's called The Inside Out Revolution. And it's a different paradigm for living, in that people see that, because we're conditioned to believe that our experience and our feelings are always coming from the outside in, in terms of other people cause us to feel certain ways, or our life circumstances, or our history, or our, all are kind of part of what causes us to have the feelings and experience we have. And the radical teaching of this is that it's completely possible and natural for people to have the experience of well-being and peace and what Sid called, innate mental health, and regardless of the circumstances of their life. And so I've trained in this coaching with Michael Neal, and I haven't really started practicing that. I did during my training. I think I did about 60 calls with people, but I'm to the point now where I just love this teaching, and I teach classes at Southern Oregon University, and I think about a third to a half of the people who take classes with me really, this ends up being a transformative, life experience for them. When people start seeing there's a different paradigm, that it's not so much about working all the time. It's like first seeing that it's kind of an inside out, the Inside Out Revolution is the name of Michael's book. And so it's very powerful to start from a place of inner peace and well-being, and then create from that place, because we're here to kind of, the way I see it, we're really here in this human experience to create and enjoy and participate. And we all have, it's like we all have our calling, we all have our individual things that we love, as we've heard from other people on here, and it's always inspiring to me. That was why I wanted to get on the call today, when I hear other people's passions. And so this coaching work that I do would really be supporting people in realizing, their visions really. And so it really fits in nicely with Natalie's teaching. So so I'd really like so in 5 years, I'd love to have, or even less, I think I could have a thriving coaching practice, and I'd love to then travel around the world. There are a number of different places, particularly in Europe and Spain and in the UK and in London, where there's a big conference this weekend called the Three Principles UK conference, and there'll be hundreds of people there. And it'd be wonderful to go and teach at some of these conferences and speak at some of these conferences. So that's probably more my 5 or 10 year vision, would be to travel and be a public speaker, helping to share this, what seems to me is really an incredible teaching.
Yeah, it sounds really good. Okay, same question I asked everybody else. What steps can you take this year to maybe start making that more real?
Well, I can certainly, start reaching out, forming some near-term goals in terms of, like getting some clients every week, several, even if it's a few clients every week. And I can use some of my email list that I have from I have a neurofeedback practice, and that also, help support people in their lives. And so that would fit with that too. But I can really, it's a matter of sitting down and, sharing what, I guess, what Michael Neal calls what's on offer, like what's possible with this type of coaching that people could have. Because I think so many people have given up hope, or they're kind of resigned to just, and they don't see that there's so much more is possible, and so much of it is within our own, self, our own experience of life. It's great if we can have lots of success, but we can start inside really enjoying and having it's like your gratitude game, having so much gratitude for what we do have, I think really sets the stage to bring more of that into our lives. So
yeah, I just keep thinking of that. Well, one thing I would say, if I were in your shoes, is I would attend one of those conferences in Europe too, and I would start networking a
well,
little.
that's a great idea.
You know
Yeah,
what, I would just do it, even if I weren't yet the I mean, I would certainly try to be the
yeah.
speaker, but I would also just go.
Just go and yeah, meet people and yeah,
Just-
set up those
Yeah,
contacts for futures. Yeah.
yeah, and
That's a great idea. Yeah.
yeah, there's two sayings that come to mind. One is Anais Nin, we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are.
Yeah.
And then on the other one, Shelley Campbell, where she says there's two types of people in the world. I said, what are they? She said, your people and not your people. So your people are going to be at that conference, and magic
Yeah.
happens when you get among your people, you know?
Yeah. 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 That's
Okay.
great. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Uh, Anne Schumacher or Maker?
Shoemaker.
Shoemaker. Okay.
Shoemaker. Okay, so my project is going in and addressing our literacy or illiteracy issue in the United States, which goes back to the 48% of our public schools in the United States are Title I. That's a certain demographic. This involves food, and it's talking about parents learning how to advocate. So in my 5-year, let's say, I want to gather a team and the backing from businesses and really high level people in government. This is probably going to involve some bills and initiatives across the country and creating sustainability in this model as going, excuse me, going in and leading that transformation. We need, a team and to be able to replicate it across the country. Let's see what else. Oh, definitely the documentary. I have a lot of connections in the film industry. And so I want to do this in real time so people can see something actually happening in action and not have to wait. Ultimately, I would like to see the 48% of our schools go down to like 15% or less, but we have to do something because when you can't read, you can't communicate, you can't develop relationships, and you're not getting the skills to be a thriving person and contribute as you move on and, through your school years. So that's it, basically.
Great.
As far as what I'm doing, I have an action plan. I have 2 big Post-its behind me. And that helped me to organize things and to who to reach out to and start that.
Perfect. This is so needed, and I'm sure you're going to have a lot of people that are really, really resonating with it. So, same question I asked everybody else. And this year, or even this week, what steps are you going to take to help to get the ball rolling?
Oh, now that I've done this brainstorming and I'm going to go through and I'm drafting letters and getting contact information and going to start sending that out and
Perfect.
reaching out to people and just get that momentum going.
I have a few organizations that might be of interest to you, so I'm going to share it.
Okay.
How this can work, guys, is so interesting. I mean, I didn't know this. I know obviously that Anne was very involved and very interested in being more active even in curriculum development, but I didn't know this specific passion. So earthgratitude.org, we have actually in the docu-series, sorry, I guess we have to go to another page to get to the docu-series. I will go to, I'll find that page that has just the docu-series on it. If you put in your email, then it allows you to run over to it for free. There's a kids section. We feature the Edible Schoolyard, which has got already existing curriculum for middle school. We feature Green Our Planet, which helps schools all across the nation and even internationally to raise the money to put in the school gardens. And they actually, the CEO of that particular, she calls herself the CEO. Usually they call themselves executive directors, but she's actually an Obama fellow. So, and they have funding from somewhere that's helping them to do it, but they also can raise the funding with GoFundMe. So they have an existing model that helps schools to do that. it's probably harder with Title I, but it's still doable. And we also have a feature from Ed Moore, who is an eco coordinator out of England, who completely transformed his school, both putting in gardens, empowering the parents, getting rid of plastic. 50% of the kids ride or walk to school. I mean, it is the sustainability model. So the kids episode of the Earth Gratitude is going to turn you on to a lot of people that are your people and organizations that are already solving at least pieces of this problem. And then Edutopia is also the one that's you probably want to, yeah, George Lucas and Melody Hobson.
If maybe they've changed, but they don't really, they put newsletters and things out, but they're not a donating. Maybe he's changed, but I've reached out to them and I'll do it again. Actually, LeVar Burton from Reading Rainbow, there's a great documentary people should watch on Netflix about that. And then when it got taken away, which is, so anyway, but thank you. Thank you for all that information. I've been writing it down. Much.
All right, Mary, I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself first.
Okay, hi, I'm Mare, and I am in the process of building a travel agency that specializes in masterminds for coaches to go to exotic places. So small little mini masterminds like this group right here, where people from different backgrounds come together to share their vision. I feel like that's super powerful. And in my 20 years in a wellness practice, I found that people didn't know what they wanted. And it's just a really simple question and never took the time to answer that. So that feels really important to know what you want. And the little masterminds helps to focus on that. And then I'd like to have a podcast for coaches that travel and the benefits of travel and coaching. And I'm studying to be an integrative health practitioner right now, just to help people with the functional medicine testing that people really simple to help prevent diagnosis. So a lot of things that Western medicine doesn't address until it's a disease. I want to help in that area. And then I'd like to create a digital course for financial literacy for high school students. I was in financial services and felt that way back then. And now retaking financial stuff with Natalie, it's like this, everybody needs to know this. And want to use my resources and volunteer and raise money for soil regeneration.
Perfect. Perfect. Love it. Okay. So I'm going to ask the same thing that I asked everybody else. What are you going to do this week or this month or this year to start really, putting this plan in action?
Well, I'm in 4 different certifications. One is to be a certified money coach. And so some of that will go into the course. I'm also in a digital course creation course to actually make the course. And finishing the integrative health practitioner training so that I can be certified. And I think the podcast is more of like a 3-year plan.
Perfect. And she's going to Restormal, those of you that are thinking.
Oh, yeah, that too.
She's definitely doing that. On the soil, I would say, again, oddly enough, Edible Schoolyard and Green Our Planet, because whether it's also even the Synergia Ranch people, she has a new book out called Regenerative Landscaping. So you can start by improving the soil in your own backyard, but you could also, if you don't already have a community garden, that you could actually start digging your hands in the soil. Like Compton community, are you based out of the LA area?
No, not really. Like I'm in LA County, but it's far.
Oh, okay. Well, the reason I was saying that, it's an odd thing, but like the best master gardener that I have come across is based out of Compton Community Gardens, and they give them free. His name is Sheridan Ross, but I could introduce him to you if you want. He loves gardening and he's just a wealth of resources. And I think that's another piece of it, is that I do see that sometimes these organizations can be really good about putting in student gardens, but they don't have a master gardener to help them actually plant better. Like, if you really plant it right, there's no pesticide, it's all organic. You can use 1/3 of the water. I mean, it's like a lot of things can happen if you really know what you're doing to do that right. So that's what I would say, is that the low-hanging fruit is regenerative landscaping in your own yard, and then reaching out to maybe a local school. And that can be like Green Our Planet is probably the one that can help them put in the gardens, but then maybe learn enough about gardening yourself, or have a resource for a master gardener that can come and help the kids too.
Mhm.
Cool. I can't wait to hear more about this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close it here. As you can see, I'm losing light in this lovely loft that I'm in Manhattan. I just don't know where all the lights are. Sorry.
We can't tell.
So anyway,
You're still in a field of grass.
yes, I'm still, this is actually high growth. So those of you that are coming with us to England, you can have champagne tea at King Charles private home. And this was obviously when I was there with, touring his organic farm. But anyway, so tomorrow at the same time, we're going to actually be doing our Restore More call. People that are already registered, you're going to learn really valuable tips on when you should buy your ticket, what train you might take. I mean, I went and I've done it. It was such a hard job. I went and did the run through at least twice. And then of course, now that we've had people at a Restormal retreat, we've done the run through with a group of people. So we've been really able to hone it into a very easy formula. Here's when you might think about buying your ticket. Here's the trains. You don't need to rent a car, all of these things to help us, even, what nights we're going to go to dinner. And most of us, because it's a group and these are smaller restaurants, we usually even give them a heads up on what we want to order before we arrive. So, I mean, it went seamlessly. We had the best group dinners that I've ever had in my life, because they already knew what we wanted to eat and they just started delivering it to us, So anyway, so you'll learn, and those of you that are thinking about Restormal and just want to come on the call to learn more about it, you're welcome to. We'd love to have you. We want the people that are supposed to be there. Now, the other thing I will say is that this is something I'm only going to do once every 2 years. It's a lot for me, because basically while I'm there, even though our whole thing is just to enjoy and to have this lovely time, I do feel responsible for the group. And so it's nonstop work for me for a full week. And it's something I'm willing to do once every 2 years. So the next one is not going to be until 2027. So if this is something that's resonating with you, what I will say is that I know the group is going to be really, really powerful. And when you get a group of people in that small setting who are all committed, again, when we go there, we make a commitment to one another that we leave our home behind. We're going to go back there. We're just taking a little vacation away from normal life. And in that bliss bubble that we create in a literal royal manor house, in a gorgeous setting, a 5-star setting with lambs grazing in the meadow out the window, where we can walk down the road to grab our breakfast. In that setting, we all agree that we're going to allow ourselves both to experience and to drink in this beautiful experience that we're having. And also when we have conversations, to talk about our goals and our aspirations and our visions and the things that we really want to create, so that we can start getting there. The only thing that we do curriculum wise there is we do play the billionaire game. I think we have a champagne toast when we start. We have a champagne toast when we end, which, you could fill that with apple cider, or whatever you want instead. And we do have one other check-in. And we have a talent show. So for one night, because it's not really set up for us to be, watching TV and stuff. Like that would be kind of silly, and such a gorgeous place. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop it there, but join us tomorrow. If you don't already have the log on, email info@nataliepace.com. And thanks for joining us again. Also, if you have an idea for somebody we should bring in to talk about something for our Brain Trust meetings, please let me know. All right. And we'll do that. All right. I will stop it here. info@nataliepace.com, or you can call us at 310-430-2397. And thanks for joining.
Thank you.